Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I'm going to attempt to show you how I created the techniques to make this card. Now we're not going to do it exactly the same, it's going to have a different layout, but it's relatively the same. So this card here, the stamp set I used was Petal Palette, and I'm going to use a couple of stamp sets. I'm going to use Hold On to Hope and I'm going to use Number of Years. So we'll get started and I'll just talk through it just to share the techniques with you. So to start with, I'm just going to have basic black as my base, so 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and then scored at 5.5 or 5.5 inches. And then inside I've already stamped the inside, so that just measures 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/4 inches, and I've just used the flower from Hold On to Hope, and I've just stamped off the cardstock and then just adhered it to inside of the card. So that's the base of the card done. So that was the easy part. Now this part, so we've got a piece of Whisper White which is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I've got a piece of crafting foam which I'm starting to use a lot of. So, and we're going to be cutting out a circle. So in the original card I cut the circle at the bottom and the circle at the top, but this time we're just going to cut the circle at the side. So when you're putting it through your big shot, you've got your piece of Whisper White and then you've got your foam on top. So when you put it through, make sure your foam is facing up towards you. So you're going to put your framelit onto the foam, because if you had it the other way and you put it through with the Whisper White on the top, it really leaves a deep impression and doesn't look very nice on the card at all. So I've worked out that you need to have the foam facing up, and then you put your framelit wherever you want it. Like I did one on that corner and one on that corner on my on the first card that I showed you at the beginning. But this time we're just going to cut a circle like just off a little bit, because I want to cut that whole piece off. So I'm just, you can see it's overhanging the foam. That's how I want it, and I just feed that through the big shot. Okay, so once I've done that, I have a card, I have my Whisper White and I have my foam pad. Okay, and then I also have a piece of Whisper White which you'll see has a straight edge, but when we put the card together that will line up on the side of your card. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and stamped 18 on that, as in 18th birthday. So what I'm going to do is grab some grid paper, and I'm going to grab my Daffodil Delight and my sponge brayer, and I'm just going to put a little bit of sponging onto just round the sides. Now you mightn't like this look. That's perfectly fine. It's just, I'm just showing you a couple of techniques that I've started to do. So I just need a little bit. Then I'm going to stamp a flower on top. You can use, you know, just a sponge, a crafting sponge, if you just want to do the sides. That's, oh, nearly lost it. That's all I'm going to do with the Daffodil Delight, so we can put that to the side. Then I've got this image from Number of Years, which is a great stamp set if you're doing birthdays or anniversaries. This little image down here, just the leaf, we're just going to put a little bit around where we've just sponged. So I'm going to use Old Olive, and because it's photopolymer, I can see exactly what I want to stamp. So I'm just going to stamp that up on an acrylic block. In this case, it's just easier to use acrylic block rather than the Misty that you're so used to me using. So I'm just going to put some green around the sides. And I just really like the effect of this. Like, you could just do this technique on a normal card as well. But it's ideal because I can see through, because it's photopolymer, but it's just so much easier doing it on a block. When it's just a small piece like this, it'd be a nightmare trying to do that. So I think that's really effective. Like, I could really try and stamp one in the middle, but I think it would spoil it. And I just really started off sponging with the Daffodil Delight, and then we've just stamped with the Old Olive. Okay, so that's that part all finished and done. Then I'm just going to grab a cloth, just wipe off my stamp so I can remove it from the block. And then I'm just going to use this stamp, and I just think it's easier if I do it on the block rather than, because I'm not going to use the whole stamp. So using this piece, just seeing which side I want to stamp on. Okay, so using this side, I'm going to have the black underneath, and then that number will go in there, and so it's quite vibrant. So now I'm going to use a stamp. Actually, I should have done that first, but I'll just see where I want it placed, like that. Now this is a photopolymer stamp, and it is a curved stamp, and it just says look who's turning, and I just want to position it to the off center sort of thing, because it's curved and we've cut out a circle, I just want it to sit like that. Then I'm just going to grab my Misty tool, and it had to move, didn't it? So I will have to have my foam pad underneath that because it's a photopolymer stamp. So I think I will just stamp it in black. Like there. And we just need to put a magnet on there. And we've got another one that we can put there. And hopefully that's going to be enough to hold it down. So it's lifting a little bit. So I'm hoping if we do it in black, we've only got to do it once. So I'm just stamping it up, giving it a really good stamp up. And hopefully this is going to hold it down. And we're just going to stamp that straight down and hope we get a clean, which we still needed a little bit on the turning. I've had a bit of a nightmare of a day today with the tutorials, but that happens. Nothing seems to be going right for me today. So then we'll just stamp that down. And that's wonderful. So we've got Look Who's Turning. So we'll just remove that stamp. I can clean that after. And for the rest of the stamping, I think that I will use, just to be safe, I will use the acrylic block. So we've got Look Who's Turning. So that's going to go in there. And now from the Hold On to Hope, I'm going to have that onto there. And I'm going to use, I think, the Night of Navy. No, I think I'll use Cherry Cobbler. Changed my mind. So I'm not going to worry about having that there. So I'm just going to stamp that up. Yeah, I just wasn't having much success today with using the Misty, so I just want to stamp it off the page. So the danger of me not using the Misty is that I can't re-stamp. I have to go with whatever happens. So if we just try and go straight up and down, I just find that the large ink pads are hard, a bit hard, to use when you're just trying to put them on a small stamp. And I just need to grab a cotton bud, just get rid of that bit that's on the edge, and then we're just going to stamp that up again. Just a little bit. So I don't know if you saw that I made a mistake there, but I was able to cover it up with my stamping. Oh, I tell you, there's always a way. Just got to be careful of those if you get a little bit on there. So I'm just going to stamp a little bit on there. Now, if you were going to emboss this front piece, which I did with my first card, the one I showed you that had the bird on it, you would have to do your sentiments and your stamping first and then emboss it. But I'm not going to worry about embossing. I'm quite happy how that's turning out. When I emboss, I would only put the sentiment on. I wouldn't put all this on it as well. So just a little bit at the top, and just, I really like the effect of stamping off the cardstock. So I think I need just a couple of more little bits just on the, so just work out which way you want to get it, where it's going to fit. And you could do stamping off with it if you wanted to as well. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that because I don't want to push my luck after how the day's been going. So that's what I've done, and I think it looks quite effective. So we can put that to the side. And then with that, if you really wanted to, you could stamp your Versamark ink pad all over that and then put clear embossing powder over and heat to set, and it would just come up like glass. It would look beautiful. So now with the foam that I cut out, so that's my card, looks pretty, oh well. So now we want to stick that on. Now this is the mistake I made, was at the beginning I stuck the foam on first and then I went and did all my stamping, and it was a nightmare. It just wouldn't stamp evenly because I'd already put the foam on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply the tacky glue, which I've spoken to you before about. Hopefully it's going to come out. Well, I didn't want it to come out like that, did I? So I'm just going to spread that over. We don't want it oozing out the sides, but we want a fair bit on. So you need to have the tacky glue if you want to adhere the foam, the craft foam, which I have been talking to you about in my videos previously, that I've started using craft foam to add dimension to my card. So normally it doesn't run out that fast, but with the day I've been having, nothing would surprise me. Like that. Now we want to get this on without getting glue on it. Ooh, nearly dropped it. So when you're cutting your foam, just make sure you cut it a little bit smaller than this front piece that we're adhering it to. So then it will fit perfectly. So you can see that I only cut it like about 1/16 of an inch, like just one notch on your trimmer, just one notch or two notches. That's all I do. So then I'm just going to adhere it then to my black piece. So I'm still adhering foam, so I have to use the tacky glue. So that's a lot better coming out like that. Just try and get a little bit around that circle because you really want that to adhere down. And it does seem to adhere pretty fast, and it dries clear. But by cutting it that little bit smaller than your front piece, then you only need to really, you're not getting it too close to the edge because your white cardstock is going to be a little bit bigger. So hope that makes sense. But I'm really loving the foam. I like how it really makes my cards pop. So then you just have to eyeball it really. And if you've got a fair bit on there, like I have, it will let you wriggle it around a little bit to get it in the position that you want it in, just like the Tombow. So my biggest hint is do your stamping first before you adhere your foam to the back of it, because that's the big lesson I've learnt today. And you can see how it's sitting up a little bit, so it will make that number 18 pop. So now I'm just going to I just want that to sit in there like that. I really like the vibrance of the colours, but you might not like the colours I use, but that's fine. I'm just showing you some techniques. So I'll just grab the multi-purpose, the Tombow, because I want it to be able to, I want it to give me time. So I'm going to put a bit extra in the middle because I want to line this up. So I want a fair bit on there so it's slippery when I put it down. Even if it's going to take a bit longer to dry, I don't mind, because I want it to allow me to move it around. So I'm just going to pop that in there. You just get past the layer. You might have heard it just click. And all I have to do is make sure that that's in line, that side there, and just make sure my number's straight. I have to do a 90th card, so this was just a trial run of a design I thought that I might like to do, but I'm going to make handmade flowers for the lady that's turning 90 and put on. But I just thought I'd really like to show you how I've been using my foam, my craft foam, and I just think it's such a great effect. So as you can see, it looks like that 18 is set back into the card because we've used the craft foam. So that's the card for today, and so you can see that this is so different, but it's still using the same technique. With this one, once I cut this out and this out, I stamped my sentiment, and then I ran it through the Big Shot with my embossing folder, and then I just sponged the 2 circles in Daffodil Delight, and then I stamped and cut out the leaves and the bird, and I coloured the bird in with my stamping blends. So that's just the difference to what we did on this card today. So I hope you like those techniques, and I hope you'll give them a try. Just let me know how you're going with them, and until next time, happy crafting.